Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Born to Skate podcast. I am Matt Moody, joined by Doug Levy to cover the beginning of what is going to be a very rough 2-week stretch of the NHL season as we have multiple teams on a bye this week. But yes, you heard me correctly. Doug Levy back in the studio. How you doing, Doug?
Back acting like I ever left. I'm doing good. Got some time off from school. I know the people in the group me have heard my updated presence there, and I've been trying to work on the Sims some more. Got some exciting stuff actually. I've had a decent amount of time to work on it and make things a little more user friendly and actually put some lineups into some NHL slates, which has been pretty exciting. My first night back, I came in last place in the listener league, so I am feeling pretty hot so far.
Hey, you had a pretty good showing the last time we ran it. You did okay.
Even though people's max scores were like 70 points or something like that, and I had 40, I did come in third place though.
Yeah, hey, it's a baby steps, you know. So but yeah, before we get started, let's wish Doug a very happy birthday, January 9th, the Tuesday. What a great time to have a birthday right at the beginning of what is quite literally a miserable 2 weeks of fantasy hockey. Um, yeah, so Doug, how do you
Wouldn't want it
feel
any other way.
having caused, yeah, this is the only slate with more than 4 games all week. So like just craziness. So let's enjoy it while we got it. Uh, we're looking at a 7 game slate here on Tuesday. Let's see. Before I had the games up, I do not currently. Let's see. We have Winnipeg at Buffalo. Uh, I remember that one. All right. We have Winnipeg at Buffalo, Vancouver at Washington, Chicago at Ottawa, Carolina at Tampa, Florida at St. Louis, Edmonton at Nashville, and Calgary at Minnesota. So let's just start with the Winnipeg at Buffalo. It's not going well for the old Buffalo fans here. I'm very happy DJ is not here, or else he would probably start bawling on the spot, like just like literally crying.
We definitely would spend the first 45 minutes reliving every single play-by-play that happened during the game. But
Yes, like all those times Eichel came so close to scoring. But yeah, I mean that's a pretty good place to start though because Eichel's price has like fallen over the past stretch of time, despite him over the past 10 games putting up 46 shots and 12 points. He's averaging 6 fantasy points per game for a terrible Buffalo Sabres team. Like they're not good to begin with, and this matchup sucks. But Eichel 6.7. Doug, does Sim have anything to say about Eichel in particular? And then we'll move away from this trash fire that is the Buffalo Sabres.
yeah, actually, I was looking at Eichel when you were introing just because I was getting to the first game, and he has the was not the highest among forwards in terms of potential to break his floor. So I mean, they definitely see a lot of upside in him as well. But he's definitely a safe pay. He's been playing like pretty Eichel, like pretty average, but also I mean it's Eichel. But yeah, 6'7". The sim really likes that. He's I think one of the top value plays from this game. I'm not super excited, and I mean, he doesn't have great sim scores, but he's definitely one of the people to watch for in this game. People that I'd be maybe mixing in a little bit, but yeah, no, he's definitely the sim definitely likes that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I consider him more of a GPP play just because I just can't trust the fact that the Sabres might only score 1 goal. Like that's probably a median outcome, to be honest. And while Eichel has like a much better chance of being involved in a goal than any other player on the slate, maybe outside of McDavid, like it's still just not enough to, I think, warrant. There's other guys here at pretty decent prices as well. So I'm a bit hesitant to spend, but if you're playing Buffalo, that's really the only place I think you can realistically go. It is worth noting that the Sabres did call up Brendan Gooley from the minors alongside Linus Olmark in net. Brendan Gooley is he's a pretty solid defensive prospect coming up with a really nice offensive game. He's not. I don't think he's like all that much of a lock. I'm not sure what the power play is going to look like, but I can't imagine it has Gooley on it at least to begin. But 2.7, he should get a decent amount of run here. I if you're looking for a punt defenseman, that's probably one of the safer ways to go for super cheap. And then keep an eye out for who the starting goalie is for the Sabres as well, because it's not been pretty in net for Buffalo either. It's not been pretty all over the ice for Buffalo. And actually, is Olmark even? Yeah, okay. Olmark is on the slate, and he's 6,800. I mean, it's not out of line. Leonard's 6,900, but you know, he's a pretty decent goalie as well, and goalie is goalie. So just a name to keep an eye out for. All right, Winnipeg. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like here. So I'll let you take the first couple guys, and then I'll just say all the rest of them, Doug. So hit me with your
Well,
top
yeah,
Winnipeg plays.
I was just going to ask how you feel about, like we were talking before, or you had mentioned something about Winnipeg having a lot of shots as of late. You don't think that that will affect Buffalo positively in terms of their potential ability to score more than one goal, which is Buffalo normal?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is like this is not the same Winnipeg team that we've been looking at like for the past X amount of years. Like they're really, really playing tight defense right now. Um, like Hellebuyck's been amazing. Like their defense in general has just been really solid. So I am not optimistic. No. And I've noticed still that people do tend to kind of game stack Winnipeg like it's the old days. And it works sometimes. Don't get me wrong; it's hockey, stuff happens. But like the numbers certainly are not pointing to this being an up tempo game from both sides. It's just probably going to be Winnipeg kind of slaughtering the Sabres if I had to place a bet on it.
Okay. Yeah, no, the Sim, one of the top stacks on the night that the Sim likes is definitely this combo line of line A with Wheeler. I'm not, the Sim also wants to throw Kyle Connor in there just because his price is lower than the two of them. But I mean, I'm not in love with his recent game stats. And he only played 13 minutes last game, but he did play power play time with line A and Wheeler as well. It looks like he's been averaging, let's see, on the season. Yeah, on the season, he was averaging 17 minutes a game and only played 13 last game. So I'm not sure if there's something there. I looked at the hockey biz for it. It doesn't look like there was anything out of the ordinary in terms of the way they were playing the lines, even though Liney and Wheeler played more. But yeah, I would kind of shy away from that. But I don't think that the Liney Wheeler stack, it's definitely not too expensive. It's not prohibitively expensive to me to go that way. Sim, I can keep looking while you mention, but I don't think it's really up on anyone else's. I like Tyler Myers at D at 4,300, but not anyone else really. Bufflin's a little too much for its blood.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird because without Shifley, like you would expect that there would be some more almost funneling of the offense through different guys. Also worth noting, Adam Lowry was out last game. Should be back for this one. It seemed like he warmed up over the weekend and then just ended up not playing. So I think he'll be all right and good to go. He's 3,600. Should come right back into a 16, 17 minute role. Was actually playing 18 to 19 before his injury, and was also playing power play one as well. So I really like that price. Should Adam Lowry play? And then if he doesn't play, it kind of seems like last game they actually went to that Tyler Myers power play unit, aka like the second unit that we would consider, more often than they did the, I guess, nominal first unit, including the unit that scored a goal being really interesting as Blake Wheeler replaced Joel Armia alongside Myers, Matthew Perreault, Nick Ehlers, and Brian Little. If you look at the shot rates over the past 10 days, Myers is one of the tops on the slate along with Nick Ehlers. They're both right around the six shot attempts per game mark over their past 10 days. So that's a pretty solid, I think that's a pretty solid mini stack to go after. And, Wheeler's a bit expensive. I think he's a much better play with Shifley for obvious reasons. But he is certainly, well worth a play in GPPs if you're just onslaughting Winnipeg.
Yep.
So
Tyler Myers, 27 shots in his last 10 games. He's had at least one shot in every single one of those games. So I
yeah, I
like
mean,
that a lot.
and he's blocking a ton of shots too.
Yeah, 20 shots in 10 games in his last 10.
Yeah,
Well over a block per game.
yeah. So we're seeing even with Dustin Bufflin back, like Bufflin's minutes have kind of taken a hit. Um, he was a guy that you would kind of expect to play 24, 25 minutes just a couple of years ago, and now there's most certainly more guys on that blue line you can trust. So I think Tyler Myers is the top defenseman here, like you said. And I think it is interesting that they did go to that power play unit that I mentioned more often than they did the unit with Line A with Kyle Connor. So it might be time to kind of ride that second unit. Maybe a guy like Perot as like a cheap GPP. He's not even that cheap, but basically a different set of exposures and see where that goes. But yeah, Adam Lowry, I think, is cash viable along with Tyler Myers. And then any of the studs, obviously, against the Sabres, but I think you can do better stud wise elsewhere. So anything else, or let's go to
No,
Vancouver, Washington.
no, I'm good.
Um, Ovechkin just continues to do Ovechkin things. Like, I mean, the dude is on pace for a 50 goal a year. Like, that's pretty fun. Yeah, I mean, he's not even 8,000. So, like, DraftKings is it's weird because you look at FanDuel every now and then, which I don't do often. Don't get me wrong, but they price their guys way through the roof. Like when it comes to Kucherov, when it comes to Ovechkin, like if they're hot, they get priced way up there. Like this is just the price you're going to pay for Ovi over and over again. Going against the Vancouver team that just, I mean, they started the year okay, but like yeah, it's not going great right now in Vancouver. So um, I really like Ov here. I don't think that's too hot of a take. Let's just read their last 10 games goals against for Vancouver. Starting 10 games ago: 3, 6, 7, 5, 3, 2, 4, 5, 3, 5. Like a lot of crooked numbers there.
It sounds like our EASHL 3-on-3 NHL team giving up
Yeah.
10 goals a game.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, I mean, I think Ovechkin is just an awesome spend here. Like, there's nothing in his profile that points to any sort of regression. I mean, if anything, like you would expect his shot rate to tick upwards, like because that's Ovechkin, and you just know what you're getting in him, and that makes him so valuable. A slate, there's no Brent Burns on the slate, and there's a lot of like Eichel, McDavid. They're priced pretty low relative to where they normally are. So I think you can certainly fit Ovi in with any sort of construction that you want to make. Does the sim think that Ovi is the top spend here, or do you think there's like
Yeah,
another guy?
Ovi is the top overall play from the sim um,
The sim
tonight.
knows.
The sim knows. Not as great of value, but yeah, like you said, his price has not really moved that much. He has 4 more shots in 5 of his last 10 games. His shot rate has decreased a little bit from what we're used to seeing with Ov. I don't know if that's, and you mentioned that might tick up. I'm not really sure if that's just, I don't know. He's still scoring goals. If he was not scoring goals and not shooting as much, maybe I would be a little more like ready to believe that his shot rate was going to go back up. But I'm only looking at his shot numbers, not his Corsi numbers either. So I'm not sure if he's attempting the shots or just not getting there recently. But yeah, no, I think he's a great play still. I'm not worried about that. You mentioned before the pod about the line one with Ovechkin and Backstrom with Devontae Smith-Pelly and not TJ Oshie. That's probably something worth noting because the sim didn't know, or Fantasy Labs doesn't have that updated yet. So just so that people know.
Yeah, they began last game with TJ Oshie skating alongside Backstrom and Ovi 5-on-5. I guess it just didn't work or something, so they moved Smith Pelly back. If you look at Smith Pelly's game logs as of late, before last game, he had 2 games. So the New Jersey and Carolina games, if you're following along with the game log, he did skate alongside Backstrom and Ovi for the entire game. Played 16 and 15 minutes, put up 4 shots and 5 shots in those 2 games. And then, obviously, like I said, halfway through the St. Louis game this weekend, he also joined that top line. So he's going to stick there again. That's how they practice today. So I would fully expect that to be the line. And I mean, he's nothing special, but we have a couple games now where he's had 4 or 5 shots on goal. He's 3,500 skating alongside a dynamic player in Alex Ovechkin and one of the best playmakers in the league in Nick Backstrom. So I think that's a really nice value spot. And then the other lines look to be shaping up to be Kuznetsov with Tom Wilson and either Vrana or Burakovsky, they rotated between the second and fourth line today, or I guess Monday at practice. So check morning skate to see how that shakes out. And then TJ Oshie was skating alongside Lars Eller and Brett Connolly. So just a little bit of housekeeping there when it comes to the Washington lines in what I think is one of the best spots on the slate against Vancouver. And then on the Vancouver side, I mean, Alex Edler is just going bananas right now. He has 37 blocked shots and 29 shots over the past 10 games. That is almost 6 blocks plus shots per game. He has 4,700 playing top power play minutes, along with easily 22, 23. He hit 29 minutes a couple of games ago against Toronto. Like, he is as safe as it gets when it comes to a defenseman. So I think 4,700 is no problem for Alex Edler. I don't know if the sim has him projected all that well because he's not much of a point guy. But
no, he's the highest value play on the board from this game. So I was looking at it right before you said that. I was going to say he has 18 shots in his last 3 games. Like, that's just crazy.
And his block shots. I mean, look at so he has 13 block shots too.
Like, I know, and I was sitting on that piece of information. And then you say, "Oh, he also has the block shots," and I'm like, "God dang!" Like, and 4,700, it's worth it for sure. The sim's not fooled. I will say though that the sim also likes John Carlson, and I think that, what is he, 6,500 is pretty expensive. The sim still likes his chances to break value. He's been pretty solid as of late, but I think that Edler's a better play overall for less, and you'll get probably just about as much. So
yeah, I mean, it's like John Carlson is so good, but I'm not willing to spend more on him than I am Erik Karlsson, or I mean even Roman Josi, to be honest. Like, we're gonna talk about Nashville in a bit, but like, I love John Carlson more than anything. But I don't think this is the spot to spend 6,500 on a defenseman. I'd much rather just get Ovi and try to correlate around Ovechkin elsewhere, even though Carlson is obviously a very good player DFS wise. So really nothing else for Vancouver here stands out to me. Did you want to mention anyone? I mean, Boeser's been incredible, but he's 6,200, kind of the Eichel conundrum, except Eichel has a bit more of a shot floor. So, it's...
Yeah, I was just gonna tack on that it makes more sense to play Edler right now just because he is blocking a ton of shots. And you were mentioning how Vancouver's not playing very well, and Washington probably get the puck on net a lot. I mean, he'll just by sheer chance probably beef up those numbers. One person I wanted to mention before we moved on was Dmitry Orlov. He's 3,800. He played 26 minutes last game. In his last 10 games, he's had, what is that? Bad quick math here. 38 shots plus blocks. So well over 3 shots plus blocks per game. Those are pretty good numbers for a guy in the 3,000 still. Sim likes him as the most likely person to meet his value in this game. So
what I kind of like about Orlov is very sneaky. It happens maybe twice a season, but the way their power play works is that Ovi kind of just hangs out for the full 2 minutes on the left point. And when Carlson changes, that's when Orlov jumps on, and then Niskanen comes on for Ovi most of the time. So when Ovi just decides to hang out, Orlov and Ovechkin actually do share a power play for a little bit. And obviously, besides that, Orlov is just a fantastic, like, he's fantastic with the puck for a defenseman. Like, he'll lead the rush, he'll join rushes. Like, he's a lot of fun to watch. And so, he's putting up good floor numbers. He's a very talented defenseman, and he's cheap. Like, I think Orlov is a really, really good call. Let's go to Chicago at Ottawa. Keep this show on the road. Going right back to the Mike Hoffman well. I mean, Jesus Christ, guys. Like, he is 5,100. Like, I'm not sure what he has to do to get a reasonable price, but like, this is quintessentially one of the best rate shooters in the NHL, playing probably the most minutes of his career. I mean, I want to say I can count on one hand the amount of times he hit 20 minutes in a game before this season. Like, that simply hasn't been happening for him. It's happened 2 out of the last 3 games, and the reason he probably didn't hit it against Tampa was that they were holding a lead for a little bit of it. Um, so, against Chicago, I think Hoffman is in an absolute smash spot. I know the sim agrees because like we might as well just rename the sim Hoffman at this point.
Yeah, best overall upside and best points per dollar in the game. That is a rare combo,
Yeah.
especially for a non-defenseman.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little bit silly at this point. I might get Mike Hoffman's jersey like tattooed on my back. I don't know.
Be
Um,
cheaper.
but like, man, I can't stress enough how much I love that play. And now he's playing alongside of Matt Duchene and Bobby Ryan. I mean, Bobby Ryan is whatever, but Matt Duchene is like really cheap too. Um, 4,100 for Matt Duchene. Um, let's see. It says he's day to day with illness. There's a few guys for Ottawa who are questionable. Duchene is included. Cody Ceci, Johnny Oduya, and who's the other one? Zach Smith, maybe. Could be spreading fake news there, but
I don't remember you saying that at the beginning.
yeah, there were four guys.
Well, yeah, I know. I remember there was
Yeah.
four, but I don't remember Zach Smith. But I'm useless.
Yeah, no, it's. Oh, you know what? Daily Faceoff had it. That's where I saw it because I went to the. But anyways, should Cody Ceci not be able to go? That's just another notch in the um, Eric Carlson belt because Cody Ceci, believe it or not, has been playing like 25 minutes a night. So without him, I mean, you got to spread those minutes around somewhere. I would assume it's better to give Carlson minutes than it is to give whoever. I mean, let's play a game. Doug, can you name one other Ottawa defenseman? Go. Exactly. Like their other options are Thomas Chabot, who plays with Carlson now because Chabot's actually good.
The human traffic cone.
Dion Phaneuf, the human traffic cone. Ben Harper, another human traffic cone. And I mean, who are they going to put in if Ceci doesn't play? I don't know. Point is, he's not going to be good. So Eric Carlson is going to play a ton of minutes here. It's going to obviously correlate really well with Mike Hoffman. Carlson's just simply been just smashing past couple games. He has 7, 8.5 points. The floor numbers are there for him. Finally, thankfully, somewhat buoyed by the fact he had 15 shots plus blocks 10 games ago, but still, I mean, the guy's averaging 28 minutes a night over that span, so the production's going to be there. All right, Chicago side. Interesting little power play units they've got now. Patrick Kane, Alex DeBrincat, Nick Schmaltz, Taze, and then Keith. I love the Schmaltz DeBrincat combo. Like they're still priced to the point where you're not spending through the nose for guys with elite talent and elite, I mean, daily fantasy relevance, given that they're both playing with Patrick Kane currently at 5-on-5 and the power play. So that's easily, I think, the top stack from this game. I can't imagine it would be overly popular. I don't know. Doug, do you have the ownership projections run yet, or is that more of a game
I don't
day
have
thing?
I have preliminary ones, and none of this game looks super high owned. I don't have the stacked ownerships put together, just the individual ones. So trying to do the mental math, it doesn't look like that line would be very owned.
Yeah, so I mean so I think that's pretty interesting. Actually, now that I look at it, last game Ryan Hartman took the place of Alex DeBrincat on both the power play and 5-on-5. I guess Hartman's back in a good role. I'm actually kind of happy to see that. But yeah, he was injured, came back, and guess now he plays 20 minutes a night. So scratch DeBrincat, add in Ryan Hartman, you're saving $1,000 there. And Hartman is, I've mentioned it before on the show, but he's one of their best rate shot producers on Chicago. So yeah, Ryan Hartman, Nick Schmaltz, and Patrick Kane. It's top stack from this game. Each guy played 20 plus minutes last time out against Edmonton. So you're getting the minutes, you have the talent, and I think that's a very reasonable way to go. Cody Franson got waived, so expect Jordan uh, Esterly, something like that, to continue playing a pretty substantial role on their power play and alongside Duncan Keith. However, he's already priced up to the 4,000 range, so that's kind of a no go there. Anything that I missed before Carolina Tampa?
No, I don't think so.
All right, I'm gonna try and speed this up a little bit. Without DJ, I kind of just feel like I get to talk now, so it's kind of freeing.
You're the captain now.
All right, so Carolina at Tampa. We know Tampa is what Tampa does. They have those guys. I'm not all that excited to spend up on two guys on really almost any slate. Like, just I don't know. Call it a personal thing, but I'm much more keen to kind of jump on the newer kind of plays than I am, um, kind of stick with really expensive guys that are just simply pretty good. Um, I like getting values in there. So if you're feeling frisky, Chris Kunitz is now playing with Kucherov and Stamkos. I mean, like it's probably well past time for Chris Kunitz to kind of like hang him up, but he is 3,000 playing alongside Kucherov and Stamkos. Um, yeah, I feel nauseous even thinking about playing him in my personal lineups, but I think that's a relatively okay way to get some exposure should that line hold. I mean, who knows if it'll actually hold or not. So yeah, Doug, before you have the pricing up, would you imagine who had a 3 point night against the Detroit Red Wings on over the weekend? Because it was not Kucherov, it was not Stamkos, um, it was Yanni Gord.
Old Yanni.
Uh, so, anything you want to say about Yanni Gord? Does the sim magically think Yanni Gord is the new? Oh, who was that guy that the sim was going nuts for last
Oh,
year?
yeah. Like, because there was a mistake in the
Yeah, there was.
code somewhere.
Yeah,
Uh,
there was a.
it was a Tampa guy
Yeah,
too.
no, it was a Tampa guy. I'm trying to think of who it was though, because you like made him your guaranteed goal as a joke, and I feel like he scored or something.
Something crazy happened.
Yeah.
I remember this.
uh, yeah, I don't
It'll
know.
it'll come to me before the show's over. I'll
Yeah, I
remember
don't know if I'll
it.
ever remember it, but so yeah, I mean that's Tampa. Um, it's not looking all that great for their fantasy relevance. The minutes breakdown. Detroit did not take a single penalty, which hurts the Kucherov Stamkos minutes. But also Carolina's not a team that takes a lot of penalties either. So Kucherov played 14 minutes or 16 minutes, and Stamkos played 15. Like that's pretty discouraging, especially given the fact that they only dressed 11 forwards. With Dan Girardi day to day after just getting blasted in the head by a slap shot. If he doesn't play, I would expect him to dress six defensemen, which you know realistically lowers the time on ice for the forwards when you go from 11 to 12. So I'm probably just full fading Tampa. I mean, Carolina is officially like good. Like they might not be great, but they're definitely good. And what they do well is they like limit your shots. And so I'm not comfortable getting 5 or 6 shots out of any of these Tampa guys. So I don't think you can play them for their current prices. On the Carolina side, Sebastian Aho is day to day. He's already listed as a game time decision. So if he does not play, I'm interested to see what they do with Jeff Skinner. Um, last time out, they replaced, well, let's see, actually, that's weird. So Aho only played 6 minutes, but all of the power play time for Carolina was during the, I guess, first period, basically, which is what that boils down to. So we didn't actually get to see how Aho got replaced on that unit. I would suspect that it would be either, I mean, hopefully it's Skinner, because that would just be way too much fun having Skinner on an actual good power play unit instead of playing with like Derek Ryan and Victor Rask and Justin Williams, like putting him out there with Teravainen and Elias Lindholm would be a ton of fun, I feel like. So keep an eye, see if we get any news like that. But if Aho doesn't play, I think Skinner makes a lot of sense here. And Yeah, anyone on the Carolina side jump out to you,
Well, I
given
think
their prices?
one thing I wanted to just toss up there before we went to Carolina was how you felt about Anton Strawman. He played 23 minutes. He's 3.3. He's his last 10 games had more than 3 blocks plus shots per game. He's averaging about 3 on the season. I mean, he's playing a second line defenseman role, not getting power play time. You mentioned that power play wasn't going to be a big deal in this game. How do you feel about that? I mean, that's a super cheap guy playing a ton of minutes who's going to block shots against a team that's been playing pretty well.
Yeah, I'm not much of an Anton Strelman guy. Like I feel like people have kind of made the rounds on playing him. Like, he was one of the popular values a bit last year. I feel like for a time, maybe it was like without Hedman or something, and I just never could really get on board. Like he's such a passive player when it comes to like daily fantasy stuff. Like it, I don't know. His rate numbers certainly don't inspire me all that much. It is interesting to see that like a couple games ago he had 6 shots and 2 blocks against the Canadians. So
25 in his last 10 games.
yeah, I mean, so it's not the craziest thing you could do, but I feel like we've listed a number of value defensemen here that, and we will with a couple guys coming up, but I don't really think it's necessary to go that cheap, and nor do I really want to on someone like Anton Strawman in particular. So,
All right. No, I was just wondering.
I
Um,
mean,
I I don't really have anything. I think you've said a lot about Carolina and the setup. I don't have anything extra to add there. I don't remember if you asked me a specific question before
no,
because
just if anyone,
I was sitting on
oh,
that.
yeah,
But
because Jeff Skinner is down to what I think is a season low, 5,400. Uh, Obviously, he's also one of the I Corsi gods, if you will, just guy who, when he's on the ice, shoots the puck a ton. His minutes haven't been all that inspiring, about 16 minutes per game over the past 10, 17 minutes on the season. So I certainly prefer Mike Hoffman over him. But I mean, both guys are, lethal shooters. They could easily put up 2 goals and 7 shots in a game and be like, wow, well, I feel like an idiot for not playing that guy. So just something to point out. I mean, a lot of these prices are just kind of silly. I mean, Teravainen's 5,000. Jordan Stahl playing an incredible role for this team is only 4,400. Like, the, none of them are overly safe, but I think when you combine them, you get a lot of upside for really good value. So that's really where my main interest comes from in this game, even against the Tampa team, just because I don't think Tampa's, a lock for a shutout or anything. And even if you get 1 goal between your stack, like you could easily surpass value on these guys. Like Justin Falk, 4,200. Like we're just kind of back in that range where every single Hurricane is like, really, he's that cheap. And so I feel like stacking them up makes sense here. So if you don't have anything else to say on that, let's just go to Florida at St. Louis. Florida has 2 of my favorite centers on the slate in Alex Barkov and Vincent Trocheck. Barkov has, well, one, he has Sergei Bobrovsky's jock in his locker, along with 11 block shots and 44 shots over his last 10 games. That's a solid 5.5 per game over that span. He's incredibly talented, and he's playing a ton of minutes against a very banged up St. Louis team. And similarly, Vinny Trocheck, 6,000, again, playing 20 plus minutes, 2 of the safer time on ice guys on the slate. Also has 35 shots on goal, 4 block shots. He just finished a stretch maybe 15 games ago where he went, I think, for 60 blocks plus shots over 10 games. So both of these guys just have monstrous performances in them. Does the sim differentiate between the two at all? Do you have anything to say about that?
yeah, it definitely likes Barkov a little bit more than Trocheck. Let me see what's the difference.
It's
Um,
probably the Huberdeau effect, if we're being frank, but
yeah, no, definitely. It likes that pair better than it likes that pair, I guess I should say. Yeah, it's just the overall. upside of playing Barkov that I think it likes a little bit more. They're similar points per dollar, similar frequencies, but I think that yeah, no, they're within 1% in terms of their ability to meet upside, but just the overall like ability to produce points, it likes Barkov a little bit more.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, and then to further that, playing alongside Barkov now is Evgeny Dadonov and Jonathan Huberdeau. Obviously Huberdeau, but Dadonov is back up there, and Dadonov is 4,600. Like he's like flat out good. And along with that, I mean, he's playing on the first power play as well with Yandel and the usuals for Florida. So Dadonov at 4,600 just seems like a mispricing to me. It's tough when you consider that there's Winnipeg guys, there's Ovi, there's Hoffman and Skinner, but I think Dadonov just kind of has forced his way into there given the way that he's played in, I mean, so far this season, I guess, because he's new to the league, but he's a pretty good shooter. He's playing alongside Barkov, and he's really, really point, I guess, good producer of points. So I like that price and combination on him. I guess if you want to talk cheap defenseman, Mike Matheson is 3,300. He started playing alongside Ekblad last game, so you could look at him. He's getting a smidge of power play time as well on that second unit. 3,300. I think he's probably the only guy I would feel safe playing on defense in this game. I don't know how to feel about Colton Parayko. Like it it just feels like whenever you think that he's like a, just when you're about to buy in on the fact that he's such a safe guy, like he's just really, really talented, big shot, block shots, whatever, he just seems to have a dud game. So I'm interested. Does the sim have anything to say about Parayko in particular? I mean, because Petrangelo's their main guy, but Parayko's kind of been like a 1B in most games this year.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make a huge differentiation between the two. Both pretty middle of the way upsides, pretty middle of the way floors as well. It doesn't love either of them. And it doesn't think that either one of them is a great value. Parayko at 5,200, Petrangelo at 6K even. I it might have to do with the power play time. I'm not sure what is. Parayko was playing second power play last game.
Yeah. Parayko was on the first power play like going into the weekend because I think on Wednesday or Thursday, like he was playing first power play. I'm like, oh man, like we found the gem of the weekend. Like, and then I'm pretty sure it was like Thursday night. I rostered him and was like, all right, let's get this. And I turn on the Blues game and it's like, oh, there's Petrangelo again. No idea what happened there. But yeah, Petrangelo's back on the first power play. So there kind of goes that jolt of excitement. So really no one else that I'm like. I love Vladimir Tarasenko, but it's just so tough what they're doing right now. It's not pretty. So if you do decide to roster a Florida goalie, know that Vladimir Tarasenko is going to score on him, and just kind of just learn to accept it because your goalie will still have a good night otherwise. Let's see. I've done that.
The sim likes the Tarasenko stack, that line with Stastny being so cheap to kind of offset Tarasenko's expensiveness. But
yeah, and Barbashev is playing with them. But I mean, Ivan Barbashev is basically the new Jori Lehtera when it comes to just not ever shooting the puck. So I'm very skeptical, even at 3,200, to play Barbashev alongside Stastny and Tarasenko. So, all right, two more games before we wrap this up. Edmonton at Nashville. I know, Doug, you had some firsthand experience on the Nashville Farm Boys recently, so I don't know if you are aware of any of these players coming on in for like an injured Philip Forsberg or anything like that. But I know you saw an old favorite of the podcast, Anders Lindbach, out there playing on Mr. Dad Life.
Yeah, the 40-year-old man playing AHL hockey. But Matt's referring to the one amateur hockey league game, American Hockey League game that I saw. We were in Cleveland and we watched the Cleveland Monsters play the Milwaukee Admirals, so we got to see the Nashville Farm Club. But yeah, what's it? I just forgot his name already. The goalie,
Anders
Anders
Lindback.
Lindback. All I have is Linus Olmark on my head right now, but and they sound so similar, and they both played for the Sabres. But yeah, this dude just it's so funny to watch old people play in like the lower league because you know that they don't really care anymore. But like this man was playing the puck out of the crease, like coming out of the crease with all 10 guys still in the zone. Like there were points where even I was like, oh my god, like what are you doing? Like you're gonna get scored on that way. But he got the win and he played incredible, like for the parts of the game where he wasn't allowed to do something like completely out of the ordinary. But like there were a lot of times where it'd be like light dump ins and he would go chase it into the corner instead of wait for it to come behind the net or whatever, like just be really aggressive with the puck. Like if he could like try to dangle one of the guys with it behind the net, he totally would have tried it. It was crazy. Just a completely different atmosphere from an NHL game, which was pretty fun. But they ended up getting they won, but we were there to watch the Monsters play and they got absolutely shelled. So
Yeah.
it was my little taste of hockey over break.
Yeah, you know what's really bugged me about, I think they changed it because, okay, so there's the Milwaukee Admirals in the AHL. There was also the Norfolk Admirals in the AHL. Like, how does that happen? Like, how do you allow two teams that have the exact same name? I just looked them up, and Norfolk is now in the ECHL, probably because the AHL teams have been like migrating closer to their respective parent teams. But I never understood that. So like if anyone else can like, either back me up on that or like explain to me how
That is
there
bizarre. I
came
did
into
not
being
even
that they
know
were
that.
like, I mean, because growing up, my dad and I would go to a lot of Rochester Amerks games, and like, so I would go and like, oh, they're playing the Admirals tonight, and it took me till I was like, I think 12 or 13, and like, it almost stopped going regularly to realize that they were two different teams. So, um,
Well, and
that was just something that always bugged me.
what bugged me was when I got older and realized that like our team name was literally just the Rochester Americans. Like we were just like what a like ambiguous name for a hockey team to just call yourself the Americans. It just made it seem like all the other teams are un-American. Like they did, like we had held claim on being
Yeah,
Americans, and all the teams we played were just Canadians or
the enemy.
Mexicans or something. Yeah, like we were just like it's like some sort of like really low level racial something or other the whole time.
Yeah,
But
yeah, just some
and I
subtle
know
patriotism brought to you by the man.
that was just bizarre. I like never realized that when I was a kid. But all right, we're digressing. Let's go.
Okay,
Edmonton,
so
Nashville.
so fantasy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ryan Ellis is back for Nashville. That's exciting. It's good for Nashville. They get basically their top four is back now. Subban, Ekholm, Yossi, Ellis. Ellis hasn't really been playing a big role, so I don't. There's not really any value that I think you can like uncover as a result of him coming back. But just know that that makes the matchup for Edmonton even all the more difficult. Um, and then I guess it is interesting that with no Forsberg, it looks like the top unit with a ton of variation. Nashville is back to doing Nashville things where they don't really have a set power play unit, but the unit they ran most often last game was Kyle Turris with Kevin Fiala, the 5-on-5 top line for them right now. Victor Arvidsson joining them, and then Roman Yossi and PK Subban. So I think the way I would attack this is either just play their top line as it currently stands with no Forsberg, which is Turris, Fiala, and Craig Smith, or play Yossi with Fiala or Yossi with Arvidsson or something like that to get a defenseman forward combination that's not dependent on the way the lines shake out, the way the power play units shake out. There is some correlation there. And I do think all of those guys are decent floor plays. So, like, they're decent plays by themselves, and getting a little bit of added correlation can't hurt. Because I do like this Nashville side a good amount. I think this game has some sneaky pace, but a lot of the guys are pretty expensive. So that's my only hesitation here. But I think Arvidsson's a decent value, and I think that stacking him with Yossi or Subban makes sense. And then Edmonton side, McDavid is back with his boys, Draisaitl and Maroon. Didn't exactly work out for him. In their game against Chicago as they lost 4-1. But interestingly, over the past 10 days, McDavid is averaging the exact same amount of shot attempts per game as Jack Eichel is at six. Obviously, one of the best on the entire slate. So we're paying 7,500 for Connor McDavid. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a really, really tough matchup. But I mean, I don't know if I care because it's Connor McDavid. I think you're getting him at really suppressed ownership. And, I think we've called out a lot of good value plays on the slate. Spending up on a just complete stud like McDavid at suppressed ownership where it doesn't hurt the rest of your team, I think that's a really smart way to go about things. Doug, I will let you talk about the sim though because I'm guessing the sim kind of like some other guys, but is McDavid like a top GPP option in your mind?
Not especially. And the sim is not really liking the price. McDavid was lower than Yossi in terms of like overall project point or not point projection, but like points times their
Right.
probability to go up. But yeah, the sim's not really
Yep.
liking McDavid much. I really do like Yossi. I know you had mentioned that before. There's not a ton of Edmonton guys that the sim really wants to play at all. And let's see here. Now, I mean, it definitely its number one choice would be that number one line for Edmonton, but I think it likes Nashville more in this matchup. I'm not going to be looking to play a ton of this game just because of that. I would be okay playing maybe a one off Yossi. I know one of the Sims big pair or top pairs was or not top, but the best pair from this game was Yossi with Turris with them. Yeah, Yossi with Turris, both of them
Yeah.
playing on the same power
Okay.
play, I think. Yeah, both of them are playing the
Yep,
same
they
power
are.
play.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the little added correlation there, which is nice. But yeah, I'm probably not going to be playing much Edmonton. I do think you're right, though, that McDavid's ownership will be suppressed, and he does have a chance to go up huge. So maybe, I guess with even though I said no, the answer is kind of yes to the GPP question. And he does have some potential upside. The sim doesn't like him overall, but I mean, that's not saying that one time out of 10 or whatever, he might do way more. I mean, yeah, he's 7,500. So,
Yeah, and interesting as well. Ryan Nugent Hopkins is taking over for Milan Lucic as like their net front guy on the first power play. I would be really excited about that, but it's kind of been correlated with a uptick in just overall play from Nugent Hopkins as well. So like he's priced like at 5,200. I don't really feel all that comfortable paying that price for a guy like Nugent Hopkins, who's not a strong rate shooter. Like he's got talent, but he's not really a $5,200 player in my mind. So I'm just more willing to spend on McDavid, and then I think you could stack him with Oscar Klefbom should you decide to, uh, play Edmonton, which again I don't think is a fantastic play. But Clefbaum is averaging 7 shot attempts per game over the last 10 days, but the shot numbers haven't been there to kind of back it up for him. So I think that's kind of an interesting way to uh, count on a rebound, I guess, from a guy in Clefbaum who had a fantastic year last year and has just really fallen off the cliff this year, along with the rest of the team. But yeah, that's really the only places I would like to go on on here. So all right, last game, Calgary at Minnesota. Main news here is Mikko Koivu is game time decision with a flu. He has the flu, and if he doesn't go, that puts Charlie Coyle in between Nino Niederreiter and Michael Granlund. Granlund has just been off the rails as of late. I don't know if what I said in like November inspired him, but he started the year I think up around like almost 7,000, fell all the way down to like 4,800 right around Thanksgiving. It was like, all right, it's time to ride the Granlund train. And now he's back to 6,000 with a ton of shots as of late. I think he has 35, 34 over his last 10 games. So certainly interesting. I think Coyle is a fun little center play should Koivu be out. But yeah, keep an eye out for that news. Doug, any thoughts on this game on either side? Maybe the top plays, top defensemen, so on?
yeah, top defenseman, best value that I've got here, Matt Dumba. He's had 21 shots in his last 10 games. He
Sim
had four
loves that
shots
guy.
last game as well. Yeah, really. he has got a great picture of him in cornrows as his pick on DraftKings, which I think is hilarious. He has like no hair whatsoever, but yeah, no, looks like a decent floor play, giving him over a 40% chance to meet value. Top overall plays. Let's see here. Um, Sim likes Goudreau with Monahan. But none of these are that high, actually. I'm looking at the numbers. I sorted by game, so I don't see it compared to the other games. But yeah, these, it doesn't look like the Sims really hot on either of the teams very much, but it does like that Goudreau Monahan line one, power play one the most.
Yeah, I was hoping it would shed some light on the Dougie and the Goats. Dougie came in big time late in the game against Anaheim. I think.
Yeah, and it was the number one D to D stack in that game from my new stacking thing was Hamilton with Giordano, and I actually played them together too. So
And they both scored. Is that right? Yeah, they
yeah,
did.
it was amazing.
Yeah.
That was the day that I
Okay.
came in third, even though Patrice Bergeron had 5 goals or whatever. So
Yeah.
kind of ruined it.
But yeah, I do I do think Joe Monahan makes sense. Obviously, they play together. They're both really good, and they're both on the same power play. Uh, but the new power play for Calgary actually looks like Matthew Tkachuk with Michael Backlund. So those two are a pair at 5-on-5, and the power play they play with Monahan and Gaudreau, and then Mark Giordano is like the defenseman you can play with both of them, and then you can correlate with play those five guys together. You can correlate Giordano with Dougie Hamilton. Like, there's a lot of different ways you can go in stacking basically those six guys, and I think that's a fun little way to get like good values on a lot of guys, especially if Koivu's out. That hurts Minnesota defensively. So just something that I'm definitely going to keep in mind as I'm building my lineups. I don't think they're necessary plays, but I certainly do like them just fine. Let's see. So I was looking at the uh, shot rates for the Minnesota defenseman. Matt Dumba comes in at just a tad over 11 iCourse per 60. Ryan Suter at 6, which is kind of actually a little bit hilarious. And Jared Spurgeon at 9. So that's actually not quite what I expected. Sorry, Ryan Suter is actually at 9 as well. I guess I just can't read my numbers because. Anyways, yeah, Matt Dumba is so much fun to watch play hockey. I don't know that I'm willing to spend 4,500 on a Matt Dumba, but I'm selling it. I might buy it, and yeah, I think that's all I have for that game. Not really a ton of hot takes there, but just I think all of them are well worth consideration. So, all right, now that we've talked this slate out thoroughly, Doug, do you have a top stack or two in mind, and then we can guarantee some goals?
I will go. I had it sorted with only Calgary. I was like, that doesn't sound right. um, uh, well, the number one stack that the Sim likes is definitely Tampa. That Tampa one, even with who's playing in the Mestikov spot now?
Chris Kunitz.
Yeah, Chris Kunitz. But I don't know. The Sim really still thinks that playing Stamkos, if you could play Stamkos with Kucherov, it still thinks it'd be the best value. It gives almost a 50% chance to score 9 points combined, which is pretty crazy. Oh, it's like almost 10% higher than the next closest pair.
Yeah, I mean,
so
what sucks about it though is that you're spending literally
15-9.
Yeah, you're spending 16,000. 9 points is certainly not going to cut it. So it's kind of one of those things where like it's an awesome benchmark to have because the vast majority of the time you're basically ecstatic when you guys hit 9 points combined. But those two certainly do break a lot of projection systems, not just the sim. So
yeah. Who do you like? What's your stack? Florida one?
Actually, I mean, I gotta go with my boy, Mike Hoffman, Eric Carlson, and then wrap it back up with the Matt Duchene. I'm not extremely hot on Matt Duchene, but I just think 4,100 like makes really like a lot of sense for a guy that's playing pretty good 5-on-5 role. The only concern I have is that they're on different power plays currently. Um, but I mean, like I said, 4,100, 5,000 for Hoffman, and then Eric Carlson's Eric Carlson. Like I just think that all three in tandem could certainly combine on a goal. They did many times on Friday night for me. So I'm going right back to the well. Mike Hoffman, Carlson, Duchesne. What do you got?
And the best, so I have value and then I have upside, but then I also do. We were talking about this before or in the group chat, but just the upside that you get between just because of the correlation. So extra points that you get outside the salary cost, and Hoffman and Duchesne as a pair was the best on the sim tonight. So I like that. I was trying to lead you away from Ottawa so that I could pick Hoffman as my guaranteed goal, but. Did you ask what my guaranteed goal was? Was that what
I was gonna go with your stack.
Oh,
Another stack. Do you have like a cheaper one besides Tampa?
I was already looking at my guaranteed goal.
Ah,
I guess I would go with the Winnipeg with Wheeler and Line A with whatever defenseman I was talking about before.
Tyler Myers.
Yeah, Tyler Myers. There we go.
Interesting. Um, yeah, I'll be interested to see if Lowry comes back, how they kind of correct their power plays, as it was interesting what they did last game. So yeah, anyways, one more for me. I kind of want to go game stack Ottawa and say the Kane Schmaltz Hartman line. Um,
10-10 final score.
But I mean, I'm certainly clouded from that awesome San Jose Ottawa game on Friday, where I think it was 6-5, just insane. So yeah, people say Ottawa's a boring team to watch, but like I don't know, you watch your system, it fails once, and it's basically like 3-on-3 overtime. Like it shit hits the fans so quickly. When they get Carlson moving up the ice and something happens, like I don't know. It's a lot of fun. So I've never really understood why people say they hate watching Ottawa play. Um, now that I've stalled enough, you know, Doug, I think you're selling me on Florida here. I mean, my expected goal stuff simply does not like them. Um, no, I know. I'm gonna trust it. I'm gonna trust it. Connor McDavid is gonna just go nuts here. Like he's gonna say
Ooh.
like, "Yo, Nashville, like, hey guys, remember me? Like I'm still the best in the world." 7,500. I think he's going to have at least 2 points, maybe a goal and assist. Stack him with Oscar Clefbaum, and maybe you get a bunch of block shots, and he picks up a power play goal or something. And there you
Guaranteed
go,
Gordie Howe hat trick.
guaranteed.
Goal assist, throw in a fight.
The guaranteed Chris Russell hat trick: score on your own goal, block 17 shots, and have a negative Corsi.
And then have everyone defend you on Twitter and say that analytics dweebs don't know anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just look at Jonathan Marsh. So no one knows anything about anything. All right, guarantee goals. Doug, you got Hoffman. I'll give you Hoffman. Who else do you want with that? You're looking at your boy
I want Eichel.
Oh, you want Eichel, man. Oh, my heart just got like ripped
To
out of my
quote the wise
soul.
Matt Moody, he said that no one has a better chance to score a goal than Jack Eichel on this slate. Was
Whoa,
like
whoa,
the
whoa, whoa, whoa,
first thing.
whoa. No, no, no. I said that there is no one with a higher likelihood to factor into his team's goal. So basically, even if what Buffalo's projected as like the lowest team on the
So
slate,
who else
Eichel,
on Buffalo is going to score a goal?
that's what I mean. I'm not saying he's the most likely to, but I'm saying he's the most likely percentage wise of his team's total goals. Does that make
But
any
they score
sense?
less goals. But I still want
I
Eichel.
mean, yes, that is
He's still the highest person that I can afford on my
that
projected
is
slate. So
certainly smart. All right, let me go. Let me go a little bit off the board here. I'm gonna go Vinny Trocheck and Jeff Skinner. So those are guaranteed goals. Guaranteed goalie shutout. Doug Anders
uh,
Lindbach in the AHL.
guaranteed goal.
Guaranteed backyard barbecue for the boys.
Amen. I will
Hashtag dad
go
life.
with
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
uh,
whoa, whoa. We don't actually talk about goalie here, Doug.
Whoa, you almost got me to say something about a goalie.
I know you were a goalie and all, but all right, let's get out of here. Again, happy birthday to Doug. We'll have DJ on to sing him happy birthday next week. And also, even though it's a very slow time of the month, don't forget about the uh, oh crap. Oh man, I totally forgot to look at who won the listener league showdown, and my group me is not working. I
It
cannot log in
was
the
it
group me.
was William.
It was
He
William.
beat he
Okay,
beat Matt in the last game
okay.
for
So we
playing
will.
for playing David Pasternak. He
Oh,
had
that's
8 points
amazing.
and put him over the top.
All right, so we will definitely coordinate with him to get him on a show. Again, you will not be hearing us from us for the rest of this week as the slates are garbage. So check out the group me if you haven't joined the group me. Follow us on Twitter at MotorSkatePod and send us a direct message. It's a really fun time in the group me. We have a listener league that I am currently winning. Um, so come get me. Yeah, come get some. All right, Doug, anything you want to say for your triumphant return to the pod?
um, Sim version 2 coming soon.
Ooh,
We're working hard now.
all right, drop the
I
heat.
I I feel like we're gonna drop the heat within the week.
Ooh, spicy. All right, so maybe there won't be a pod, but there will be a brand new sim to wrap your head around. So be sure to check out our website for that. Morning.
Well, not brand new. I shouldn't make it sound like that.
Well,
It was just
yeah, I mean,
updated to be more accurate and better. It'll still look the same. We're not going to go
more.
through a whole re-explain, remake everything mid-season. I wouldn't do that to you guys.
You wouldn't pull a left wing lock.
I've seen that drama. That just seems absurd, but yeah, whatever.
All right, that's certainly enough from us. All right, from TJ, from Doug, and from myself. Have a good slate, everybody, and we will see ya.